So ECB, or energy cost budget method, it's interesting because we're taking a look at actually cost, energy cost. We're not looking at total energy used. It's comparing a base case, a purely code building, how much it costs to operate it on an annual basis versus your design. How much does that cost? If you beat that, then you pass code. So again, this is an alternative to the prescriptive path or the simple trade-offs. If you have a complex building, if you've got an all-glass building, this is the methodology you're going to have to follow. Mandatory requirements, though. Again, remember, these are mandatory regardless of the compliance path you choose, whether it be prescriptive, whether it be a simple trade-off, or ECB. You have to satisfy those minimum requirements, those mandatory requirements.
Okay. Basically, the energy cost budget method, it allows you to trade everything for everything. Everything's fair game, and you would use it if your design exceeds the prescriptive code and you can't make it work, like too many windows. And at the end of the day, it simulates the cost of your building as you're going to build it compared to as if it were exactly built to code. So yes, we have 50% windows in this building, but we've done other things that beat the code, so in aggregate, it costs less. That's really how it works. You can use several different types of, was the one here used Energy Pro? Is that what you did? I don't have that on here, but these are examples of tools that you can use. eQuest is free. You can download that one. It's got some learning curve associated with it, but a lot of the engineers, do y'all use HAP or Trace or anything like that? Trace. So these can satisfy this.
Train, Trace, yeah.
And it just kind of makes sense. So I think it's a good opportunity, to go beyond code, but this is a valid compliance path using Section 11.
One of the things with the cost side of it that's interesting to me, say it has to do with peak shaving. So if maybe you use your energy on off-peak hours. So there's some systems where you can actually create ice, and ice storage systems. You create ice at night when your energy is cheaper. You're not necessarily using less energy, but because of the way this works, it's costing less. So it'll actually say, hey, this is a good thing. It'll give you credit for that, for some peak shaving types of strategies. So it's interesting.
Okay. The other thing would be the other thing is you can use a similar concept of simulation. This is using Appendix G. Appendix G is used mainly for projects that are doing LEED, where you're trying to show not only did I beat the code, how much better am I than the code. So that's what Appendix G does. And it is not a compliance path. It's a process for showing that you beat the code. So here's just a real quick example. Let's say I've got a base case building, and I simulate it, and it shows me that the code version of it would use $75,000 of electricity for everything, $25,000 of gas, and that's a $100,000 annual utility bill. Whereas I improve the building, I do all kinds of funky things. I'm using better insulation. I'm using better glazing. I'm using a more efficient boiler. All of these show up. I cut my electricity cost by $20,000. I cut my gas cost by $10,000. So now I'm down to $70,000. And if you have a system that will basically, let's say, create $3,000 worth of renewable energy. It could be photovoltaics. It could be solar thermal. But in essence, I'm generating the value of energy in a year's time that's worth $3,000. That subtracts off my bottom line. So now instead of 70, I'm at 67,000. So my building, as I'm going to design it, as I'm designing it, would use $67,000 a year versus the base case JustNet code would use $100,000. Okay, 67 it's a 33% increase over the code. I beat the code by 33%. And if you're familiar with LEED, you would know that you go to a table and it would say, okay, you beat the code, you're eligible for 11 out of 19 energy points because you got it by 33%. You go to LEED, for example, look it up. So Appendix G is the rules for energy simulation to show that
And it's similar, again, just to be clear. Chapter 11 is just to show that you've met code. It's similar. There's just some extra steps you have to take. So it's a little more complex.
And with that, we're going to say thank you very much for hanging with us. There's some great resources over here, and we will stick around and answer any questions. But I want to thank you for coming and hanging out with us and invite you